A little while back, I standardized all the power management in my home theater systems and my rack setup on WattBox equipment with 20 amp rated gear. I bought the 2000 VA 20 amp rated UPS, and I bought more of the rectangular style WattBox 820 20 amp unit, the power distribution unit, surge protector, multi-outlet distribution unit, and I put it in the back of my rack. But I found that hasn't been the most accessible method. And in conjunction with that, I also picked up a couple of the smaller 2-outlet 20 amp units as well. My plan was to have the WattBox 820 power through the UPS to run the majority of the things in my rack, my preamps, my Kaleidoscape, my servers, my NAS, stuff like that, my network equipment. And then the 2-outlet units would power my amps plugged directly into the walls because we don't want high current stuff like our amplifiers going through the UPS. That was going to end up burying some of the equipment in the back of the rack. Some of the wiring accessibility proved to be a little more troublesome than I wanted it to be. And so in conjunction with my new theater overhaul project for the living room, the rackathon, the re-rackathon to change and reorient the things in my rack, I've decided to make the switch to the rack-based WattBox 820 units. I think there's basically a time and a place for either form factor, and whichever one happens to work best for the application and the installation is obviously the best one for the job. Sometimes it does make a lot of sense to have the smaller unit relegated to the back of a rack, the way that you can rotate it and face it in different directions. It creates a lot of flexibility. It also has more outlets on it than the one that I'm going to show here now. But in any case, for this video, let's take a look at the rack-based 20 amp WattBox PDU unbox overview and just take a look at it. This is the WB-820CH1U-IPVM-8. The -8 is because this unit has 8 outlets. When I made the choice originally actually for the other unit as well, at the time I thought I was going to need more than 8 outlets. But then again, after kind of realizing that it wasn't the best of choices probably to be running the amplifiers through the UPS, 8 outlets per WattBox of these is going to be perfect for me. And actually I bought 2 of these. So this is one of 2 of them that I have going into the rack. One of them will plug into the UPS and again continue to run things like the servers, the networking equipment, and that sort of stuff. The other one will plug into the wall and it will run all of the amplifiers in the system. So let's take a look at what we have here. Basically inside the box, pretty nondescript of course. We have the unit itself encased in a bag and some styrofoam, and we have a little box of accessories. The other form factor I think comes ultimately with quite a few more accessories than this one will. We do have a bag of feet. If you're rack mounting it, of course, you really don't need the feet, but if you're setting it on a shelf, we have 4 independent feet there. It does come with the rack ears. This unit already does have the right width essentially to be able to fit a regular rack width. So the rack mounting kit is just basically the 2 little brackets. These will screw on to the sides of the face of the unit and it'll slide right in. Very easily accessible and usable on the rack there. We have our power cord, beefy power cord, real thick beefy power cords, heavy gauge, thick gauge with these. And keep in mind that these are different type of NEMA plugs. So if you're buying the 20 amp, try and get the focus here. If you're buying the 20 amp WattBox equipment, you better have 20 amp circuits, including the plug in the wall, because this is the T-shape style plug, not the regular double vertical slat. So if you go back to some of my earlier videos where I was actually going over the original installation of the first 20 amp WattBox stuff, I had to change some outlets, I had to verify my wiring, I verified my circuit, and everything is the way that it should have been. I have 20 amps clean from a proper 20 amp circuit using proper gauge wire Romex in the walls to the outlets behind my rack, but I did have to change the outlets themselves to have the 1 vertical and 1 horizontal NEMA T-style plug there. We got a little bracket here. This is a retention clip essentially. This goes on the back and it will clip. It'll clip into the back of the WattBox. They all generally seem to have this. It'll clip into the WattBox and it'll hold this power cord. Very nice. So if you're moving stuff in and out or moving your rack in and out, stuff around your rack, you're never going to inadvertently unplug the back of the power distribution unit. And then we have 2 little bags of screws which we would expect. One, I would imagine, of course, is for the feet, the bigger screws, and then the little smaller bag of screws, or the bag of smaller screws rather, is for the rack ears. So not a ton of, again, not a ton of accessories, but everything that you need to be able to manage the unit in its entirety. The other form factor, again, comes with quite a bit more accessories. That's because that unit, again, it has a lot more flexibility in terms of how you may install that unit. Again, it can kind of face forward, backward, up, down. It can rotate. I think it can even be set on angles. It's all about maximum installation flexibility. So to give an idea here of what we're looking at. So again, 1U unit, not super deep, very nicely made, metal chassis. I like the style. I like the orange style WattBox of, the orange color of the outlets and stuff that they use on these. All right, so let's go over kind of what we see on the back here, of course, starting from what would be the right side facing front in the rack. We have the connection for the power cable there. And then these two clips right here, again, or these two tabs is where that metal clip kind of clicks in. We have a gold or brass maybe metal grounding plug here, and then our 8 outlets. Note that some of the outlets have the T-shaped plug and some don't. The entire unit is rated for, again, 20 amp circuits and all that sort of stuff, but they didn't decide to use, I don't know why they didn't decide to use the 20 amp plugs for all of the outlets. All right, so notice here on the network side of things, we have one basically general Ethernet network port. So this does connect to a network connection. You can get access to it. It has a dashboard, individually control the outlets, get information and details about the operation of the unit. There's another port labeled for future use, and then there's this orange port. In the WattBox environment, the orange Ethernet port is an uplink port. So in my case, I will be using this. I will be connecting this, one of these units, via the uplink port to the UPS. And so it becomes kind of like a master-slave connection between the two. They work together and operate in unison, in tandem. Again, as far as I know as well with the outlets, everything is filtered, everything is protected. There's not necessarily any differentiation between the capabilities of the outlets. We do have some connections and a variety of things that present on the front. Of course, a main power switch, a selection of readouts and displays, LED displays and such, telling us information and status and whatnot about the units. Voltage and current will both show up here as like a numerical presentation. We do have a couple buttons here. I'll have to verify what these do. B1, B2. I'm guessing that you can maybe independently power cycle the between outlets 1 to 4 and 7 to 8 in different banks. And we do have connectivity for USB A and C power connections, as well as an extra outlet on the front. That's something else that I will very much appreciate having on the front of the rack, is not even actually just one, but since I'll have 2 of these basically racked right next to each other, there'll be 2 outlets facing forward on the front of the rack. Sometimes in my storage room, I've needed to plug some extra stuff in, and I'll appreciate having that accessibility right there. Retail price on the 20 amp version of the WattBox 820 is about $1,350, and yeah, readily available now. So I'm going to continue the rack project. I'll come back in just literally a second for you with some kind of images and a little video of this thing fully connected and installed in the rack. All right, and there's the WattBoxes, both installed. So again, 2 820s, both 20 amp units above the 20 amp UPS. I like the consistency in the power lights and all of that. Looking very nice. So the bottom one is plugged into the UPS. The one above is plugged into the wall, and the top one will power amplifiers. In high current devices, the bottom one will power everything else. Let's take a look at the back. There's a lot of power cables bunched into a small space, but there's plenty of space still to kind of lock them up, coil them up, and all of that. Let's try to get some light shining where we can so we can see both of the 8 outlet units there. I got the one jumpered into the other one for the uplink port. That cable's just barely long enough. I may need to get a slightly longer cable, take some tension off of there. I will have them both networked eventually. Right now, only the bottom one is networked. I need to pull more network cables. But the big hefty power cables, and everything's running here, and then plugged over into the 20 amp wall circuit. So that's an overview unboxing and detailed look, I think, at the WattBox power distribution unit. 20 amp integrated faceplate IP power conditioner, 8 individually metered and controlled units. network addressable, network capable, overseas integrated. Sound off in the comments. What are you using for your power management in your systems? Do you have a UPS? Do you just have surge and power protection? Do you have some type of conditioning and whatnot? Are you using WattBox? Are you using something else? Let me know. What do you have? Are you looking to upgrade your stuff at all? If you do happen to be looking for this kind of stuff, I am a dealer for Snap. I can sell all of the WattBox equipment, so covers the whole gamut of their offerings. Again, the power distribution units in all their different form factors, strips, rackable units, and so on, and the different UPSs, whether you need 15 amp gear, 20 amp gear, whatever it may be. One of the things that I do appreciate and like about the line is the breadth of its offerings and the cohesiveness of everything within the ecosystem. I think if you watch the channel for a while, you know that I like when a company makes a lot of different pieces that integrate nicely together and kind of fit different needs and all work together very well. And so I've standardized all of my power management system around my home theater stuff with WattBox. Please reach out. Again, I am a dealer for them. I'm a dealer for a whole bunch of other home theater and audio video brands as well. 30-some brands in all, and building the business out every day. If you're shopping, considering an upgrade, would like to get some consultation, get some quotes for something, consider some upgrades. Kaleidoscape, JVC, Seymour, Stewart Screens, Focal, Denon Marantz, SVS, a whole bunch, too many to name. Email me, jeremy@techthusiasm.net, or go to www.techthusiasm.com. My dealer information is there, including a brand listing. But again, if you're looking for something, even if you don't see it, I didn't mention it, or you don't see it in the brand listing, please still reach out and let me know. I may still have access to it through some special distribution or through partners and whatnot that I can refer you to. If you're shopping generally, there's a whole list of affiliates down in the description, as well as on my webpage. Amazon, Audio Advice, Crutchfield, Walmart, Target, eBay, apparel stores, and more. Again, please use those in your everyday shopping. Always much appreciated. Doesn't cost you anything. It's a huge boon to the channel. If you would, become a channel member, leave a super thanks, PayPal, Venmo tip, any of that as well is always appreciated. Please do the regular YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, share the video, and please leave that comment. Let me know, what are you doing for power management and protection in your audio, video, and home theater setups? Thanks for watching. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun.